small presentation, which is basically I just wanted to say what I understand throughout my experience. Supply chain, because from the very beginning, from yesterday, I've been listening that the success chain was created on its own. Okay, so the same concept I just wanted to put in. So since it is a very subjective matter, I'm not giving more data, but just to say what is supply chain and how we are going to manage and all those things. Just a perspective, we can have a small discussion on it. Yeah, the first thing, okay. Yeah, so yeah, a short discussion about it. India ranks at around third largest shrimp producers. 80% of the shrimp comes from a farmed industry, out of which about the total production in India is about 9.2 million metric tons, 0.9 million metric tons. Farmed shrimp is about 0.8 million metric tons, out of which exports almost 0.7 million ton getting exported. So why I have showed this data is that if you compare the shrimp domestic market against the export market, it is just a peanut. It's only a 50 metric ton it been consumed India, all other things been exported. So if you calculate, if it is 50,000 ton per year, which translate to only 137 tons per day. Indian market sells only 137 tons per day. If I divide that into 10 cities, just have main 10 cities, which is only about 14 tons per day. To have a supply chain for this 14 tons, it's very difficult. This 14 tons again in each city, it's going to be get sold in some another maybe 500, 600 shops. So that's a challenge. It is not the supply chain not available or supply chain has to be developed. The challenge is here. Okay. So secondly, when it comes for a supply chain, most of us understand that supply chain is only transporting the goods. It's not that. The supply chain is it's a very big chain which starts from the production end. And what is the purpose of the supply chain? The purpose of the supply chain is to produce a material at a cheaper price, transporting or storing or processing at a cheaper price so that the end consumer will get at the cost which is the minimum possible. So when we wanted to work on the supply chain, all these people, who were the producers, the producers of the product, the manufacturers, the intermediaries, the traders, the processors, the retailers, the storage company, everyone has to take care of cutting down the cost so that the cost which been incurred at the production, almost it will reach to the consumer. Okay. So managing all these things are the, secondly, when we say supply chain, because there were a lot of comparison yesterday between poultry supply chain and fisheries supply chain. I've been equally worked in both this industry. Okay, I've been worked more than 10 years in fisheries and 10 years in poultry. Each has its own difficulties. Okay, yesterday somebody was telling that poultry being a live, it is easier to do it. But I'm telling you, the biggest challenge in poultry is the live. If the chicken dies, nobody buys. At the farm, if it dies, even half an hour before it dies, nobody buys. It becomes nil. Luckily in fish industry or a shrimp industry, a frozen thing, died one is accepted. That itself, it's a difference. Okay, so each supply chains work differently. Okay, so each it's having its own difficulties and comfortness. So we have to work accordingly. So supply chain management is the one which been handling all these activities. So the different, okay, in case of shrimp or anything, what are the factors which is influencing the supply chain? One is the origin. So again, I come to the poultry industry. In case of a poultry industry, everywhere, every state, every district, every town growing this product. And it's very easy to supply from here to here. Whereas the fish is not like that, because fish, it need water, and water is geographically, it been accumulated in spaces wherever it is possible. So it has to get grown in these places and it has to be transported, which means centralized processing and decentralized distribution. Whereas in poultry, it is decentralized processing, decentralized production, everything. So one of, because I've been product origin. You see, one of the key factors is the volume and the cost. The cost among in India, the cost in the wholesale market, it changes drastically. You can see this is a real-time data since being in this company where we are sourcing. Almost the sourcing price city-wise is this is the one. So if you are going to strategize any supply chain solution, you have to consider this. If at all you cannot normalize, right today, again I'm going to poultry industry. In the poultry, there is not a big difference between south and north or west and east. It's almost the same. The margin may be 5%, 6%. Maybe there could be some seasonal variation. But these are the variation it is always. Why? Because this is again due to the centralized production. So if we are going to look for any supply chain option and we are going to streamline the price for the supply chain, then this one also to be taken care. So the challenges in supply chain, I've been draw down some of the challenges, which is everything it formulates and it comes to the stage, how we are going to increase the volume of it. Okay, so considering the time constraint, I'm not going to go one by one. So the solutions I just wanted to say, 1 minute, what am I? Okay, the solution what I'm going to say is that we have to look at new markets. We have to educate the customer, like everybody says. Education means it can be like nowadays the social media is very active. The social media is the one which can be bring in more input on the subject, and maybe influencers can bring in subject. Okay. Secondly, changing the people behavior on food is very difficult. So we have to find a mechanism how we are going to do this. Because I come from a coastal region and I eat seafood, but I never touched even your freshwater fish. So it's very difficult to convince me that you go and eat katla and rohu. So I always go for a mackerel and sardine instead of katla and rohu. Okay. Similarly, when people are not used to eat prawns, it's very difficult to convert them. So maybe like yesterday somebody said that we used to give a free chicken to someone so that they will get into the taste and they will start buying it. Okay. The same mechanism we may have to start using here. The reason the chicken market been grown is this been taken to all the stages wherever we have discussing, okay, including to the street level. Any street level, if it says a non-vegetarian, he will be having the fish, he will be having the chicken, but not even fish. Let us try that the street vendor who is making your fried rice or noodles or whatever it is, let it go until there. Okay, then your volumes will automatically come. If your volumes comes, then your supply chain will get automatically developed. That's what I wanted to say as a brief introduction. However, we'll just get into the panel discussion.